Hello and welcome to the latest Warrior Chat. I'm your host, Dan McNair. Joining me today is Dr. Reppert, principal of Southern Middle School. Today we will be talking about the one-to-one program that the middle school is thinking about adopting. So to begin, could you just explain a little bit of what the one-to-one program actually is? Because I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah, Dan, absolutely. The one-to-one program that we're going to have at the middle school for next year will provide every student, 7th grade and 8th grade, with a Chromebook and a device that they're going to be able to use within the classroom as well as with outside the school. We're really moving forward with the model that the high school went with this school year, the 15-16.
When do you plan on introducing it?
Well, we actually started to introduce it to the parents.
Okay.
We had a session with the parents recently. We'll be introducing it to the students through newsletter and through some media. But then it'll be rolled out at the beginning of next school year to the students.
We actually have a little PowerPoint here for the viewers that gives a really good set of information about the one-to-one program. So let's get into it here. So what is the current technology environment of SMS?
Yeah, currently as of the 15-16 school year, Dan, we use multiple carts within the classroom. We're actually throughout the building. So it's not truly a one-to-one, but what the one-to-one will now provide our students is more access to the devices. We had a program that we use still up until this day, Bring Your Own Device. So that's a way that students can access some of the apps, et cetera, that the teachers may be using within the classroom to continue the instruction. But then the other part where I mentioned this is going to give us now an opportunity as a secondary school district, 7 through 12, now be one-to-one. So our students that are transitioning to the high school, our students that are currently taking high school classes at Susquehannock High School are going to be all on the same devices.
Is it going to be a little bit different in any way at the middle school? I mean, I know they'll be taking different classes, but functionally, is it going to be any different?
Well, functionally, it's going to be the same. I think where the differences may lie, Dan, will be within the specific learning management systems that we will use. Currently, the high school is using Blackboard, the middle school is using Blackboard as a means for teachers to post assignments, etc. Moving to the new learning management system is going to be a transition for both the middle school and the high school. So we will still have the devices that will be utilized the same way, but I think instructionally it'll depend on how the teachers are going to use it within the classroom.
All right, let's move on here. There we go. Critical thinking. That's the word you're looking for. All right, so we're going to talk about why a one-to-one program is necessary at SMS.
Yeah, with the one-to-one, the biggest challenge, what I mentioned previously with the Bring Your Own Device, it did not provide the equity. And the equity meaning that the students, not every student had the same device. Now what the one-to-one will do is provide everyone to have a level playing field so that as they're working on assignments, etc., it's going to be the same. Previously with the Bring Your Own Device, it went up until the end of the school day, till 2:44. Now with these devices, those students are going to be able to work outside of school, to work on the assignments, kind of work ahead, etc., so that they're working at the pace they need to be successful in the classroom.
Yeah. And I mean, back when I was at SMS, the Bring Your Own Device program was in place, but to be honest, I didn't see many students actually utilizing it to its full potential.
Right.
And with the one-to-one program at the high school, everybody has at least used the Chromebook in one way or another.
Exactly.
So it's really going to improve the involvement of students with using technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of parents are concerned about the finances of this. Could you talk a little bit about what's going on here, what we have here?
Yeah, with the financing, Dan, what it boils down to is the District Technology Committee has a budgeted amount each year that we use for technology purposes. So what we did in order to make this happen is the District Technology Committee, along with the administration, identified what are going to be the most important priorities. So truly what we did was reallocated the funds within that technology budget, but also prioritize what are going to be the most important needs. And one of the primary needs that came out of that was moving forward with the one-to-one program next year for the middle school.
Yeah. So it's being paid for by the district's budget, But are there any costs that a parent might have to worry about? I know at the high school we have an insurance program for the Chromebooks.
Yeah, there is a cost. We have that. That'll be coming up in a slide a little
Okay.
later regarding the warranty, et cetera. But yeah, there is a small cost or fee to the parents, because I think any parent that, especially a middle school parent, being concerned over what's going to happen to the device if it gets lost, broken,
Yeah.
fallen, keys breaking, screen cracking. There's a policy or a warranty that we'll have in place for that.
Okay. Let's move on here. Google Apps for Education. At the high school, we do use the Google Apps, and I can't praise them enough. Everybody uses them. It's very stress-free. Could you talk about how you feel it's going to apply in the middle school?
Yeah, actually, we had the benefit of at the end of last school year to start to explore this, with the Gmail for the students, as well as Google Docs, the sheets, as well as slides, etc. So for the 15-16 school year, students actually in the elementary, 6th grade on up, have really been utilizing these documents. So coming in to the middle school next year, those students are already going to have one leg up and having the opportunity to continue to move forward with it. So training wise, we still may have to do some individual with students, but not as much as we've had to do when we first initiated. One thing I do want parents to be aware of is, okay, they're going to have this device. Now they're going to be coming home with it. How are they going to be protected? So what we're currently using is the filtering system that they utilize or that the district has 24/7 will continue to be utilized when they're at home. So that's as a parent myself, that's something I'm assured of, that the very strict filtering system that we have right now will be applied to that when they're in the home and when they're utilizing their devices.
Yeah. And that was one of the questions I had coming into that. I'm glad that we answered that, because I think that's a huge concern for both parents and students. Communicate. Could you explain what we have here?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why we're here right now. We're communicating the plan and the vision moving forward with the one-to-one as well as the technology replenishment at the middle school. But there's several important meetings, et cetera, that we're having moving forward. Back on April 14th, I did meet with the school board and shared a school board presentation about our initiative moving forward, one-to-one. In May, there's a newsletter that was being published. We had our first face-to-face session on Monday the 2nd with some parents, 6th and 7th grade parents that came in to view this presentation, as well as had an opportunity to ask some questions that were very specific to what their personal concerns were. We will be sharing this out, this video, making this public through the district YouTube site, as well as any of this presentation material I'll be sending out to the 6th and 7th grade parents so they also have access to it.
Okay.
And then next Monday, I'll have a follow-up session for any parents that have any questions about the one-to-one, how it may impact their child or not, anything that they would have. We will have a session next Monday from 6 to about 7:30 or however long it needs to be for any parents that wants to drop in. But I will also say to any of the parents, if they would want to sit down and reach me via phone, email, they can do so, and I can answer any of their questions to help them feel comfortable.
Okay, that's wonderful. Creating equity. Before school library hours, availability of flash drives for students to work offline. Oh, I went too far. Okay, could you talk about what this idea is?
Yeah, the creating equity is really something we tried to follow what the high school had experienced with their one-to-one transition. And the one thing we wanted to take a look at is how can we provide additional time for students within our school so that they can work on assignments or just to get on their devices and kind of stay current. So we have something set up now before school when the students get off that bus, and from coming to the middle school you could get dropped off between 7 o'clock up until 7:35 when that first bell rings.
Yep.
So students will have an opportunity to go into the library, access their devices. Now we have Wi-Fi throughout the entire building, so they are not just limited to going there. If the students would, 8th grade, if they wanted to stay in the cafeteria in the morning, 7th grade in the auditorium before that 7:35 bell, they may, because they can still access that information. So we just wanted to make sure that parents are aware that we do have that flexibility, but more importantly, dedicating some time. Students also have time during their lunch, during their intervention period, et cetera, that they'll be able to access.
One of the questions I actually had coming into this meeting was, what if a student doesn't have Wi-Fi at home? How would they be able to use the one-to-one program?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you talked about, on your presentation on Monday, about providing low-income families with the ability to get internet. Could you talk about maybe what that is and how a family could go about implementing that?
Yes, Dan. What we will do is when we have our parent sessions, which will be in August, there'll be information that will be sent out in the summer mailing in July. But we will have information that when we have those parent sessions in August, we will have someone from Comcast that will be their representative, so that if there's a parent that comes in that, if it's their low income or some financial concerns, that they can speak with that representative, regarding how to access the internet, etc. Now, for the parents that don't have the access, and I know living in a rural area, there are some of us that may have the Comcast high speed, some may be on satellite, and some they may not have the service. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to provide some additional time within the school. But the one thing I wanted to stress, Dan, is that our teachers are going to have information prior to the Chromebooks being rolled out by surveying the students. What kind of internet do you have? Do you have it? Do you not? Is it satellite? Is it cable? And then they're going to be able to modify and differentiate that instruction so that it can meet the needs of those students. Because even though everyone's going to have a device, we do know that not 100% of every family in our district has the internet access.
Yeah, and I think that's a concern that many community members would have going into this program. All right, optional warranty policy. This is what I really wanted to get to, because I think this is what parents are concerned about. Could you talk about the warranty, what it covers, how much it might cost?
Yes. So what the warranty does, it's a low-cost option for the parents in case there's any breakage or damage to the devices. And I think that's going to be the key piece, is the break and the damage, because if it's walking down the hall and it accidentally drops out, or something happens within the classroom, or even if it happens at home, what this will do is the first time that there is some breakage or damage, it will be covered under warranty. The warranty from that point on, the extended warranty plan is $25 for the school year. That will provide the students the opportunity, if there's a second and a third or fourth option or opportunity or concern with damages. But if there is a damage to a device, the first thing that will happen is they will get turned into our tech shed that we're creating, as well as a staff member overseeing that. They'll take a look at it and assess it and send it to the tech department. And at that point, a loaner will be provided to that student so that their instruction would not be interrupted with such an instance if that occurred.
Yeah. Teacher supports. So is this talking about how the teachers are going to have to change their instruction style to meet the needs of the one-to-one program?
No, because the teachers are not going to have to change their instruction style. Because the beauty of it is, over the course of the last 6 years when we had to bring your own device, they've already infused a lot of this within their instruction. So what we're looking at is how we're going to utilize these devices to enhance the instruction within the classroom. So what we're going to continue to do is provide professional development sessions regarding Google Apps for Education, how to increase collaboration of students within whatever activities they're doing, creating assessments, etc. But then the next part, as I mentioned previously, is moving to our new learning management system, which is Canvas. So we're going to provide a lot of that information to our teachers, specifically with communicating to parents and to students, and what that's going to look like starting on day one of the 2017 and 18 school year. We're providing that training now, and the teachers at professional development now, so they have that time over the summer to prepare, so we're ready to roll day one.
So you use Blackboard currently, right?
Yes.
At the middle school? Could you talk about how Canvas is maybe like or maybe not completely different, but somewhat different than Blackboard?
Yes, they're very similar in the makeup. I know when you take a look at the overall presentation of the learning management systems, they will look differently. But I had an opportunity to look at Canvas and go through, and the basic setup is very similar to announcements, calendar, a dashboard, the classes being accessible, communicating between the student and the teacher, etc. So a lot of the components are very similar. It'll just be the overall face of what it looks like is different compared to what our students have been accustomed to and staff when using Blackboard.
Yeah, because I've been using Blackboard for, 5 years now?
Yes.
And it would be kind of hard to imagine a different style of education program like that. Student supports deployment week. All right, so could you talk about how you're going to introduce the Chromebooks to the students on the first couple days, weeks of the school year?
Yeah, how we're going to have it set up, not only do we have supports for the teachers, we're going to have for the students, and more importantly, the parents. But when we take a look at the deployment week, our plan is to deploy by grade, one grade one day, and then the second grade another day. But we're going to cover three very, very specific components during those sessions. One is going to be deploying them, putting them actually in the hands of each of the students. The second session will be the care of them, general usage, etc. But then finally, the third is the digital citizenship. I know many of the parents are concerned about their students using their devices appropriately, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a computer, laptop, Kindle, whatever. But more importantly, what is going to be the acceptable use of what when they're utilizing these devices, and more importantly, the digital footprint. The things that they're posting, the things that they are typing and sending, is being archived, and the students need to realize that. More importantly, we want to teach them how to use it responsibly moving forward.
Okay, we had a presentation similar to that at the high school.
Very good.
Oh, there's more information here.
Yeah, and some of the additional topics, kind of how we'll differentiate it, just because we've had, we're in our second year, next will be our third year, but not third full year of using Google Apps. But we're going to have some students that are going to have a lot of experience using those apps, whereas some may not. So we'll differentiate, what's going to be the needs of the students. It could be more Google Basics, how to use the platforms, Canvas, Google, collaboration, using the sheets, forms, etc. So there's going to be more opportunities and sessions for our students in learning how to use those different components. And our teachers will be the ones that will be providing a lot of that throughout the school year.
Okay. Yeah, there are so many different things you can do with the Chromebook beyond just the basic set of apps that come shipping with the machine. All right. So what supports are available for the parents?
Yes, so two very important dates for the parents. Tuesday, August 16th, or Wednesday, August 17th. These instructional nights for the parents are going to provide them the first opportunity to see what their son or daughter are going to experience when they're getting those devices. Our vision, our thought, our process is, let's get the parents comfortable with the devices first before we even roll them out to the students. Because if there's any questions, regarding that, it'll probably come from the parents, because they're not going to be using those devices every day. And in there, we're going to follow the same type of training, same type of development for those parents, how to use Google Docs, how to synchronize the platforms, how to use the Chrome store, etc.
Yeah, I think this is great because many people think that it's going to be a huge change for the students, but they've been brought up in the education world using computers their whole life. And many of the parents who were educated many, many years ago, I don't want to be rude, but they have no idea how this could possibly integrate into education. And it's oftentimes more of a challenge to integrate the one-to-one program into a parent's way of thinking than it is a student. So I think it's great that we have these programs available to help explain it to the parents and community members.
And the one thing to piggyback on that, Dan, is our world is ever changing, and it's changing at a rapid rate. To go back to what you were referring to, education has changed in the last 200 years, but if you look at the last 10 years, it has exponentially changed, with the advancement of technology. So our job as educators is we need to continue to push our students into that forefront, because the jobs and the training and everything they're doing is going to be utilizing this technology. But we also need to make sure we keep in mind and support our parents or the caregivers of these students, because they are not from this fast generation of technology.
That's so
So
true.
any supports that are needed, as I mentioned earlier, they can contact me at Southern Middle School at 235-4811, extension 3252, or email me at len.reppert@sycsd.org.
One thing I don't think we mentioned, what is the tech shed? I know that it is here, but the community may not know what the tech shed is.
Yeah, the Tech Shed was created at the high school, and it's been phenomenal in the information that I've heard, where the students are the ones that are involved in deploying the Chromebooks, getting them set up for distribution. But then when there are any concerns with the devices, etc., those students are the ones that are the triage. They're the first line that are going to take a look at those devices. So we want to follow the same suit as the high school and create a tech shed at the middle school. So they're kind of, as I would call, apprentices to the high school tech shed, so that as those students at the middle school kind of learn the craft and the look fors, etc., when they go up to the high school, it's already going to be feeding the high school with students that already have an interest with it. So the purpose is for us to kind of grow, but give those students the opportunity to be that first line to look at, troubleshoot, and determine what are some of the causes and concerns with the devices.
That's great. I think we hit most of what we needed to hit the nail on the head. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No, I think to close up, I'd like to thank the School Board of Education, the district administration, the District Technology Committee, and the Building Technology Committees for their support in this initiative, because without their support, this would not be occurring today.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. That concludes our Warrior Chat today. Thank you to the viewers watching at home. Thank you to the studio production team. My name is Dan McNair. Have a great day.